All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm excited because I wanted to do something fun for you guys today, something different. And the holiday season here, people are getting a little worried because when the holidays kick around, we had the COVID-15, the COVID-19 pounds in terms of weight loss or weight gain. But when it comes to the holidays, people tend to make the wrong food choices, or when they're making food choices, they're making them and they're not really sure why sometimes. Yes, there's peer pressure. Yes, it's the holidays. But I've been doing a bit of reading and I've been doing some research, and I tried to come up with some of the best or the most important reasons and the most important factors that influence people's choices when they have food. Okay, so it's going to be a nice short one today. I'm going to go through this one. I hope you enjoy it. And we're going to start off with the first one. So number one, these aren't in any order, by the way, as well. We're talking about the 8 factors that affect your food influences, your food choices. So one is the emotional factor, okay? Now, food sometimes is used to meet emotional needs. We also know that we're all humans, and some of us have weaker, stronger, or more tolerable personalities. Some of us are stronger, more disciplined, and they have different work ethics, and we often make decisions based on that when we're looking at eating. It's also related to cortisol levels, and if you think about it, the emotional factor, I think, is one of the biggest factors in making people eat a certain way. Here's an example: pain versus pleasure. Okay, you start dieting, you join a gym, you're excited, you feel really good, you start working out, you start seeing some results. The scale starts looking great. People start giving you compliments. Emotionally, you feel good. And emotionally, you're going to start changing your habits. You may start having more salads. You may start removing some of the junk food, some of the pizza, some of the alcohol. So when there's pleasure involved, people tend to make the right food choices. Okay? When you know that you're going to be going to a vacation and you know you have a reason to look forward to, that's going to cause you pleasure, people will tend to change their eating habits and they're influenced differently. Whereas on the other spectrum, when people are in pain, people are stressed right now, people are at home, they're in lockdown, people are not working, heck, we're closed right now, okay? And when you're emotionally not stable and you're not feeling confident, you start to go into this little spiral. And think of any area in your life right now that you're not happy with, okay? If you had a bad day, you go home, you're mad, you're angry, you're not going to sit there and tell yourself, you know what, I really want to have a chicken salad with some olive oil and some olives on it. You may grab a bag of chips and eat it because you're upset. When you're emotionally unstable, a lot of times you'll eat something because at that moment you're angry. You're saying, you know what, I'm going to eat this right now. I don't care. Nobody can see me. I'm going to polish this bag of chips. And then when you're finished, your emotion changes and you start feeling guilty for what happened. So a lot of us eat when they're angry too. Some of us will use fitness as a way or a means of getting rid of your stress. And I know that for a lot of times myself, when I'm stressed out, fitness is the best way that I can use to calm myself down. But I also know a lot of times too, when we are stressed and we're not emotionally sound, we'll reach for that drink. We'll reach for that meal. We'll reach for things that comfort us. So the emotional factor, I think, is probably one of the bigger or more stronger reasons that affect people's food choices, and that's why I put it number 1. Now, number 2, the media. Okay, and this is really bad because a lot of young teenagers, youth, children growing up in today are dealing with a different media, a social media, compared to 20 years ago. Okay, so every month and every day, millions of dollars are spent on advertising, TV shows. Athletes are really big examples of influencers. And not just for food choices, but physical activity too. When was the last time you watched a commercial and you see an Air Jordan commercial, or you see a commercial with a famous athlete, or you see the Reebok commercials for CrossFit, or you see The Rock promoting his line with Under Armour. You see something, it's going to kind of drive you to make that decision. And when we think of the media, think of McDonald's, guys, as one of the biggest marketing geniuses in the world when it comes to the way they sell their programs. McDonald's has a funny way of selling and marketing their food to kids. And they have a smart way of doing it where they slowly begin the brainwashing from young kids to birthday parties to it's the fun food. They're really, really big on millennials because, again, McDonald's is a cheaper meal. Younger kids are not going to have the disposable income to go to a restaurant, to go to a place that's got a more expensive meal. So you see an ad about a younger, fit, more healthy couple exercising together. You watch the ad, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, on TV, and you're like, you know what? I'm either feeling good, it's either going to motivate you, and it's going to want you to do something well and eat clean and watch the way you're eating. And you may say, hey, you know what, honey? Look at this ad. Look at this young couple. You know, look at this couple. They're the same age as us. They're 40, they're 50. They're active. They're moving around. Let's not have that pizza tonight. Let's not have the fries with our meal. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, you're constantly seeing ads. Look at Coca-Cola, guys. It's crazy. We're in 2020. People understand that there's 42 grams of sugar in a can of pop, especially Coca-Cola. Yet people are still drinking it, and especially in Europe and the US in higher numbers than us, because again, it's the cool thing. Okay, it's marketed. Same thing when it comes to your health and cigarettes and that type of lifestyle. Number 3 is a challenging one. Okay, and this is one that, unfortunately, from my end, I've never had to deal with this factor influencing me for my foods because I've been disciplined enough to tell my family, sorry, this is the way I'm going to eat. I started competing in natural bodybuilding when I was 21, and I kind of, not brainwashed, but I kind of explained to my mom how food should be cooked, prepared in bulk. When you're eating a meal, you gotta have protein, carb, and fat together versus your big plate of pasta or your big plate of carbs. So family and traditions is number 3 of one of the factors that are affecting our food choices. And if you think about it, it's almost like peer pressure in a way, but it's worse because it's your family. And if you think about it, all families across the globe, not just here in North America, guys, but across the globe, around the world, will develop their eating patterns based on a few things that are very important here. So don't just think North America, don't think Canada, think of around the globe. Income, okay? If you have a family that does not have a lot of income, and they're working with a single parent, there's 3-4 kids, they're in a country where, you know, you don't have the ability to have stores and the ability to have healthy foods around. The fact that a family is growing up in a lower income status will dictate the foods they're going to be eating. And it's not because they're bad people, but if you look at a family growing up and they're in a lower income bracket, and that's all they have, canned foods, packaged foods, pizzas. I see it when I go to this grocery store and I look at people's carts, and I don't mean to be nosy, but I'm going to look at what they're eating, and then I'm looking at the person saying, wow, do they know that they could have easily just made that meal from scratch? Schedules, okay? When it comes to family and traditions, families that are busy typically don't have time to eat a home-cooked meal. So what do? They order. Uber Eats, order from this restaurant. Let me buy something on the go. Let's go to Tim Hortons, okay? On the weekends, I'll go to get gas, and I'll notice that you see the gas stations and the Tim Hortons lineups with parents and kids. Why? They're busy. They want to get something on the go. Family size, okay? If you have a very big family, I grew up in a small family of 2. My wife's mother grew up in a family of 11. That's crazy. 11 kids. So imagine, if you have 11 kids in your household and you're going to be looking at what foods you're going to be eating, whatever food's available for that many people is going to be what you're used to, what you grow up with, right? And then also, I think the most important and the most detrimental factor about family and traditions are the role models. And if you are a mother and father and you are not being the role model for your children in the way they're growing up, and you're not teaching them good habits, and you're not telling them, listen, we got an 80-20 rule in this house. You want to have some sweets, you want to have some ice cream, you want to have chocolate, cookies, no problem, okay? 20% of the time, we're going to have some foods that are not going to be the greatest. 80% of the time, I want you eating healthy food, okay? If the parents are not proper role models in instilling these variables, if you want to call them, these factors in helping kids learn from a young age, or even if the role model, if there's one active mother or father in the family and the other spouse is the lazy one, the one that likes to eat out. And I hear this all the time because we have members in the club where one person is the person that's trying really hard. Dimitri, I gotta hide from my wife in the kitchen. Or Dimitri, I'm not able to do food prep because my wife wants to be in control. Or Dimitri, my husband wants to eat out all the time and he wants to go to restaurants and buy all kinds of food. So if you don't have proper family role models instilling proper food, it's going to be challenging for you to make the right decisions. And remember, think about how we eat on holidays, guys. We go to family's house. And I was just telling this to a client that I was speaking to on the phone a few minutes ago. People, it's like we're de-stressing in the holidays. And I get it. We're going through a really crazy time right now. And how beautiful is it to look at a table and see grandparents, see uncles, see nieces, nephews, kids, family together. So what do families do together? They eat. Okay? I come from a European background. My wife is Italian. We have many clients from the Mediterranean, from every end of the spectrum. And holidays are a time when people eat. Now, think of it being weird or wacky, even sometimes unnecessary, with the amounts of foods we eat. Why? Because it's traditionally accepted. Okay? Where else will you feel more comfortable to start your plate off with a big plate of pasta? Okay? And I'm not going to be saying this, and all the Italian people watching saying, no, are you going against us? Hey, I love pasta. But imagine, okay, in traditional European families, there's some kind of big carb plate that comes out. Then there's a second serving of meat and another form of a carb. Then there's another serving of a vegetable, a salad. Then there's another serving of some fruits after the meal. And then guess what? We got dessert kicking in after that. Okay? So it's really challenging when you're trying to stay on track with your nutrition when you're not paying attention to the variables outside there. So I'm not giving you guys this webinar today to try to tell you how to make the right decisions. I'm telling you to be very, very, very aware and to be present. So when you're going out and you're seeing things, remember, you know what? That's a media thing. Dimitri said, there's media, okay? There's my family. There's peer pressure. You have your family, come on, have a shot, have a beer. And you're like, listen, I'm trying to lose body fat. I'm trying to stick with my program, okay? So that's number 3. Number 4 ties in with that as well, okay? If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But number 4 is culture, okay? Now, your food choices reflect your cultural background or your ethnic background or your lack of cultural background, okay? And fast food becomes your go-to everyday food for your kids and for your family. Let's be real here, guys. I don't know the percentage to say there because I'm not a pro at this, but I do know that there's a lot more families that are moving away from traditional styles of eating, that are not sitting down and having a meal with their family at a right time of the day. Everyone's busy. Kids are eating at 5 or 6. One of the family parents comes home at 7, 8. They're eating by themselves. Breakfast is a rush, rush, rush. So when there's no cultural setting in terms of specific times of eating, it makes it more challenging. Also, if you think of culture, pastas, heavy breads, sauces, meats, cheeses, wines, these are staples in the Mediterranean diet, and the Mediterranean diet is known to be one of the best diets in the world, right? Whereas tortillas, am I pronouncing it properly? Tortillas and beans are a staple in other areas of the world, and spicy food is. So imagine, there's some clients that I speak to when I'm designing a meal plan for them, or our naturopathic doctor, Dr. Anita Musavi, is designing their meal plan. It can be challenging because they either don't eat certain foods, they don't eat fish, or they don't eat specific foods, or they need to have spicy foods in everything they eat, okay, in every meal, or they're used to having bread and they're like, well, it's a tradition in my family. So you got to be careful when it comes to you getting your goal. As much as you have to be a bit selfish and you have to kind of put your guardrails on and say, you know what, this is something I want for me, you have to remember that weight loss, weight gain, fitness is not an A to B scenario. It's not going to be, I hire the trainer, I eat this food, I lose the weight. It's, I hire the trainer or the coach or the class, I eat these foods, I weigh myself and I check in. And then I look at where I'm at. And then if I don't like the number or the goal I'm at, I go to troubleshooting. And it's very important that you're working with a proper club, coach, naturopath, nutritionist that can help you make those tweaks. Because the difference between a level 1 gold medalist Olympic athlete and someone that places 4th or 5th is the fact that their coaches went through and tweaked things as they went through the process, okay? Number 5, here we go guys, number 5, taste, okay? And I wasn't a big, I'm not a big fan of understanding why people have specific tastes and they're stubborn until we had our daughter, okay? My daughter Milena, I love her to death, but she is a picky eater. And when it comes to tastes, basic, common, natural born food preferences makes a factor that influences the foods you eat. There's some people that we have as members that have never tried yogurt, never want to eat yogurt, they don't want to have protein shakes, they do not want to have anything that's soft, they don't like eating cold things. I've had clients that don't like eating vegetables, okay? Thankfully, because we're good role models, Francesca, my wife, will find ways to get vegetables into our kids' foods. Francesca's saying logging is important. Yes, logging your food is extremely important because that's a factor where if you look back at your week and you're like, man, I've had chips every evening at 9 o'clock at night. And if I look back to those evenings where I've had the chips or the alcohol or the bad food, those chips or those meals were based on days that I had bad days from work. I got it. Bad day at work creates a pattern of bad food. If I can view it and I can see it, I can correct it. Okay? But picky eaters, you got carnivores, you got pescatarians, you got vegans, the list goes on. Everyone's got a different palate. And I told myself and I told Francesca, I said, listen, we're not going to have kids that don't eat vegetables. It's a non-negotiable. So we had to start looking at different ways. Do we put them in the protein shakes? Do we blend them? Do we saute them? Do we bake them? Do we barbecue them? Do we give them cucumbers and celery and peppers plain on a plate with their meal and just be happy that they're eating vegetables? Yes, sometimes you got to do that. I have a client that unless the vegetable is blended in their shake, they will not eat it. So imagine you're trying to work with an individual that wants to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds and they've got this stubbornness in their head where they're not going to follow the way you eat because that's they're used to, right? Some of us like spicy foods, some of us like plain foods. Some of us can become addicted to foods, and because of the tastes, we can't control it. Okay? Coca-Cola, another example. Chocolate, another example. Chips. If you put a bag of dill pickle chips in front of me, I will try one. I have enough discipline to say, I just want to have one right now because I know that if I tell my brain I don't want it, it's done. And I've learned that through years of sports and competitive sports, whether it was through wrestling and having to cut weight to make a certain weight category, or swimming, or track where you have to carb load food, or bodybuilding where you have to manipulate your body for percentage. But when it comes to food, guys, we got to remember that just because you like the way it tastes, it doesn't mean it's the right food for you, okay? Moving on to number 6, allergies, okay? Allergies, the fact that we live in a world of high life-threatening reactions to the foods, and the food allergies is increasing. I'm not sure if it's the water that we're drinking. I'm not sure if it's the foods we've been eating over the last decade or so. I don't know if it's what's processed. I don't know if it's Costco. I don't know if it's microwaves. I don't know if it's, more kids having food allergies and a lot of symptoms, but something's wrong. And I'm 42 now. When I was 18, 19, 20 and I got into the industry, I was consulting and I was assessing people. I can't remember at all someone saying my kids got A, B, C, D allergies. And when you go to the schools, you look on the side, you see all these little pictures of kids, like little mug shots and what they're allergic to. So when it comes to food allergies, reactions can happen anywhere at any time. Just think of you going out for dinner, and if you know that you're allergic to something or you're afraid of going to a certain place due to the fact that you have hurt someone, had an issue with the food, or you're just not really sure of the way they're cooking the foods, that's going to affect the way you're eating your meals as well. The next one, moving on to this, is number 7, is hormones. Okay, now more and more and more are we learning more about hormones as the years go by, and there was an amazing, may he rest in peace his soul, Charles Poliquin, one of the most educated, scientifically thought out coaches in the world. He dealt with a lot of high performance athletes, and he created the biosignature system that takes different areas of your body and breaks down the body fat into hormonal level. For example, if you're a male and you pinch your breasts and you feel, hey man, I feel like I got a little bit more breast tissue here, that's a sign of low testosterone, high estrogen. For females, if they tend to get more body fat in the side or the waist area, that's a sign of carbohydrate intolerances as well, and hormonal imbalance. Cortisol level. You look at a lot of men as well. They have really, really inflamed midsections. Forget the fact that they got visceral tissue, right? Visceral tissue is going to build up in our organs over time, and you don't want to have that. But when you're stressed out and your body's producing so much cortisol, there's a lot of inflammation around your midsection area too. So hormonally, hormones will affect the way people eat as well. And I just wanted to confirm, I spoke to our naturopathic doctor and said, hey, give me some clarification on it. And her 3 things were this: women's menstrual cycles and their premenstrual cycles, okay, PMS, their periods, the progesterone that's produced. Now, progesterone is a sexual hormone for the female, is much higher after ovulation, preparing a woman for giving birth, having a baby, okay? And that's where most of the craving comes in, okay? I got a wife, and sometimes in the month she gets a craving. Now, whether it's for ketchup chip, or whether it's for pomegranates, or whether it's for a chocolate, women tend to have more influences on the foods they eat, specifically at the time of the month, due to the fact that they're having hormonal imbalances, right? During pregnancy, based on the baby's needs and hormonal imbalances, a mother will be eating foods they're not really used to eating, due to the fact that that little baby inside is throwing all her hormones off, okay? So cortisol cravings are extremely really high, and when people, there's something called the Cushing syndrome. I didn't even know about this. She told me about it. So thank you very much, Anita, for that. But when we're stressed, people tend to have cravings for sugar, okay? Think back. When was the last time you were stressed out and you said, I need some broccoli, I need some cucumber, I need some cauliflower? It's not going to happen, right? You want something quick. You need energy, okay? If people's energy levels are down, they're not sleeping well. Hormonally, they're a mess. Males, after 40, testosterone drops, okay? Females become menopausal, okay? Males become andropause. So when their hormones are off, it's going to affect the way you eat. Now, I always tell people this. After the age of 40, you should go get blood work done to make sure you know where you're at. Especially if you're telling yourself that you have a goal of 30 plus pounds of body fat and you know that most of it's in your midsection. Why? You want to check your liver enzymes. You want to check your kidneys. You want to check your bilirubin level. You want to check your blood level. You want to check your hormone level, your testosterone, estrogen levels. And if we're not keeping track of these things, ladies and gentlemen, as we age, it's going to affect the way you train. Okay? We've recently met a gentleman who's coming here and who's having testosterone issues due to the fact that there's a hormonal imbalance in the last 6 to 7, 9 months of his lifestyle. Now, that gentleman can train as hard as he wants and diet as hard as he wants, but if he doesn't get his regular blood work done once a month to check and see where he's at, he can't make changes, right? And it's like someone saying, I got some shoulder pain, and when I go to the gym, it feels good when I warm up, but it's not really going away, so I'm just going to stop bench pressing. No. Go get diagnostics done, get an x-ray, get an ultrasound, get an MRI. When you have data, you can make decisions based on data. Okay? And my wife is a really great example. Hope you're not mad, babe, that I'm saying this. But I think with both children, we had different cravings. I think with Milena, it was ketchup chips. And with our son, it was pomegranates. She was going through them like crazy. And imagine, that's a healthy, high fiber, high antioxidant food, where you may have another person who's pregnant who wants to have chips all the time, or they want to have chocolate all the time, or they want to have a different food. So it's important to think about that and to keep track of that as well. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, one of the 8 factors that I believe affects people's food choices is climate. Okay, now we don't really pay attention to this because we tend to focus on all the other important things that are in front of us, okay? But where you live around the world will influence your eating habits too. We just don't pay attention to it. Now, typically most hot climate areas deter people from eating heavier meals, more dense meals, typically higher in carbohydrates. Carbohydrates based on the fact that it's too hot and you don't really feel like eating a heavier meal. You want something lighter, something cooler, something that's refreshing. Whereas the opposite is true when you go to a colder climate. Okay, if you're going to an area or a country that's typically cold and you go outside, I guarantee you're not going to want to have gelato or ice cream or a freezy because of the weather. Whereas when you go on vacation, I know myself, I start losing weight when I go to Greece or Italy or anywhere hot in the summer, because being that I'm ectomorphic and have a fast metabolism and I typically eat 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day, and I'm eating every 3 hours, and they're really big, bulky meals to slow my metabolism down. When I go away, there's no way I want to have heavy meals, okay? There's no way that I want to be eating the amount of carbohydrates I'm eating when I go on vacation. All I want is light meals. I want some drinks, I want some shakes, I want some salads, I want some grilled meats on it, I want fruits. When I go to Europe, I want a lot of fruits. I want the vegetables because they're so much more dense and so much more high quality than you would have here. So also the same is true when you go to a climate, when you go up north. For anyone that goes snowboarding or skiing, you go to Blue Mountain or, Horseshoe Valley, and the temperatures drop, minus 15, minus 20. People tend to have cravings for warmer things. People want to have a warm latte with all their caramel and their whipped cream and all that dust or whatever sprinkles they put on them because of the fact of the climate. Okay, so there you have it, guys. I've given you 8 amazing factors and reasons that affect your food choices. I'm gonna go back. My wife said soups, okay, as a great example. You go away, you're skiing, you're snowboarding, you come out, you come to the cafeteria, to the restaurant, you're not going to want to have something cool and something that's going to be light. You want something that's going to be warm for yourself, okay? So let's recap them. 1, the emotional factor. For any of you guys who joined late, I'm going to save this. I'm going to post it back on social media. We're going to send it to all our members as well. But 1, the emotional factor, I think, is the biggest one. Yes, you can live in a hot climate, cold climate. Yes, you can watch social media and all that. But when it comes to the emotional factor, if you're unhappy, you're not going to say, I'm going to go to a healthy restaurant and I'm going to drive 10 to 15 minutes more, or I'm going to wait in line for 10 more minutes to get a nice bowl from Freshie that's got, your vegetables, your avocado, your bean salad. I'm pissed. It's a really crazy day. I'm going to pull over. I'm going to go to drive-thru. I'm going to get this and I don't care. And a lot of times when we're in pain and a lot of times when we're emotionally distraught, especially when we're alone, guys, and I know for you guys watching me right now, I'm hitting home because I guarantee you yesterday, today, last week, when you're in the kitchen by yourself and you're not feeling as happy, as confident, as motivated, as aspiring as you usually are, you'll tend to grab that food that you know is bad for you. And you know why you eat it? Because no one's looking at you. Because you're doing it by yourself. Or you're doing it in front of somebody and they're peer pressuring you. Yeah, don't worry, who cares? COVID's here, go to the gym later on. You'll lose the weight after that. So emotional factors is one of the most important one. Number 2, we said the media, okay? Be very weary of the media. Be very weary and skeptical when you look at all these weight loss programs that are showing you picture after picture after picture. Okay? A lot of companies are photoshopping so much of that artwork. Even models are being photoshopped, and young females, young girls, I got a 13-year-old daughter at home, are looking up to this. Thank God my daughter's not into this, and they will think that that's the right way, being skinny, looking bony, not having curves on your body is the cool thing. Thank God for CrossFit in 2009, I believe, when they came out and they said they rearranged, they rejuggled the entire fitness industry, and they brought back compound lifting. They brought Olympic lifting into it. And they shocked the world by showing females that you can be as strong as you want. Heck, females can be stronger than males, okay? We have some coaches in our team that can probably outlift many males in the gym that come and work out here, okay? So it's important to know that the media will give you one spectrum of the way we should be eating and lifting and training. You should look back to what you really care about, what's important to you. Number 3, we said family and traditions are very important. For those of you watching right now saying, I wish I had you at my dinner table, how am I going to get around the family? You need to do me a favor, and you need to stop the BSing. If you really want to get a goal, and you really want to get a result, and you're tired of the way you look, you're tired of the way you feel, you're tired of waking up every day and brushing your teeth, because remember, this is a game between you and the mirror, nobody else. And if you're tired of the way your health and fitness is, then you got to make a stand and make a non-negotiable. And you go to the first person in your family, whether it's your spouse, your wife, your children, and you say, listen, I'm not really happy with my current state. I need your support, and I need you to stop me when I'm going to make the wrong food choices. And when you go to family household, and you're going to be sitting this holiday season, and you know there's going to be that brat family person who's just miserable. And they don't like hearing about your success. They don't like hearing about you joining a gym. Heck, they don't like hearing that you got a MyZone heart rate monitor or you're working out. You need to put people in their place. And you need to bring some food along to that gathering that's healthy. Bring yourself a bean salad. Bring an amazing arugula salad. Bring some barbecued foods. If you know you're going to family's house and all they're eating is fried foods, because I hear it all the time, guys. I have an assessment tomorrow with a client at 4 o'clock. And and I said, I want you to bring your wife. And he said, why? I'm going to bring my son and me because we're members here. I said, no. I want you to bring your wife to the Zoom call, and I want to speak to the person who's in charge of making the food. Because if you can't stand up to that person, place, or thing, and say, listen, I do not want to eat this way, you're never going to get rid of your goal. You're never going to get rid of Mr. Chicho. It's always going to be around. And you know what sucks after that? You're going to start to develop a mindset that it's okay. It's okay to be 45 pounds overweight. It's okay to not be able to walk upstairs and huff and puff. Okay? It's okay to have high cholesterol, high triglycerides, high blood sugar, high abdominal circumference. No, it's not okay. We got one body, guys. So make the best of it. Number 4, we said culture. Okay? Different cultures eat differently. Different cultures promote different foods. Some cultures have 70% of their meal is based with carbohydrates. Okay? We said the taste, people's palate. Okay? Adam Poole is watching right now, a good friend of mine. His palate for wine is unique. He can taste 50 different wines probably and tell you which one's the cheapest, which one's the most expensive, because he understands wine. You give me wines and I'm not really the best at it. You give me proteins, you give me different foods, and I'm the best at that. So the taste is important. And just because you like the way something tastes doesn't mean it's healthy for you. Okay? So if you like drinking pop, switch to Perrier. If you like drinking Coca-Cola or ginger ale, switch to Zevia or green cola. We sell green cola at the studio. There's different drinks made with stevia. We said number 6 was allergies, okay? And if people have certain allergies, it's going to control the way they eat. Number 7 was hormones and hormone imbalances, okay? There's different times of the month, of the week that people crave certain things. I even see that if I'm really tired and I'm stressed and I haven't had time to work out, when I go home, because I'm so hungry, all I'm doing is eating a super big amount of carbs to catch up for what I missed. And all I'm doing is spiking my blood sugars and storing that away. And lastly, climate, okay? Climate matters where you live, how you eat. It makes a difference between how much ice cream you're gonna have or not. I hope you enjoyed this short little webinar. Please do me a favor, guys. And if you know someone that's struggling with health, fitness, nutrition, share this webinar with them. Give us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and remember, you never know who you could be helping out by sharing this information. The holidays are around the corner. I want to know how I can help you guys out. If you can please DM me on Instagram, send me an email, Dimitri at Pure Motivation Fitness. Let me know what you want to hear about. Let me know what you want me to talk about. Let me know what tips you want me to give you help with. Just because we're on lockdown does not mean we still can't provide you service and love. Peace. Have an amazing evening. Happiness is a decision. Make that decision today. All right. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. Peace and love, everyone.